religious. 6 days a week, 2 hours per session, with the kind of dedication that transforms bodies and builds mental fortitude simultaneously. Squats until my glutes burned and popped, until I could feel muscle forming under the curve, until I looked in that floor-to-ceiling mirror and saw myself becoming something harder, stronger, less breakable. Started with 95 pounds on the bar, embarrassingly light for someone my size, but within 2 weeks I was up to 135, then 185, working toward that 225 that would put me in strong woman territory. Deadlifts forging core strength, building the kind of power that lets you lift heavy shit, literal and metaphorical, and carry it without breaking. Started at 135, added 10 pounds every week, focused on form over ego, listened to my body but pushed past comfort, because growth only happens in discomfort. Hip thrusts that had the gym bros staring until I'd stare back with a look that said, mind your business or I'll make you mind mine. 225 pounds for representatives, squeezing at the top, feeling power consolidate in my hips and thighs and ass, building the body that would walk away from him and make him regret every lie. Protein shakes became my breakfast, blended with almond milk, unsweetened, because I wasn't about unnecessary sugar, natural peanut butter, the kind that separates and has to be stirred, the real shit, a banana for carbs, vanilla protein powder, 25 grams per scoop, and ice until it was thick and cold and tasted like a milkshake but was actually fuel for transformation. I tracked macros with the obsession of someone who'd found a new addiction to replace the old addiction of loving someone unworthy. 140 grams of protein daily, 1 gram per pound of goal weight, 50 grams of fat, the good kind, avocados, nuts, olive oil, 150 grams of carbs, sweet potatoes, brown rice, oats, calories set at a slight deficit to lean out while building muscle. Water intake at 1 gallon per day because hydration is queen shit. Mirror selfies documenting the journey, not posting them yet, but saving them, watching my body composition change week by week. Week 1, soft, curvy, beautiful but not powerful. Week 2, slight definition starting in arms. Week 3, abs beginning to show through, faint lines suggesting a six-pack was hiding under a thin layer of softness. Week 4, thighs getting that sweep, that curve where muscle meets the knee, looking strong instead of just thick. The gym became meditation, therapy, war preparation all in one. Every rep was rage channeled productively. Every set was grief transformed into growth. Every workout was me building armor, becoming bulletproof, preparing for the battle ahead. Jamal noticed within a week. Came home Tuesday evening to find me in the kitchen blending a post-workout shake, wearing sports bra and leggings, sweat glistened and glowing under the pendant lights, hair wrapped in a high bun, skin radiant with that post-workout flush that comes from pushing your body to its limits. "Ma, you looking different. Good different." He walked up behind me, hands on my waist, trying to pull me close, trying to claim territory. I let him, but didn't melt into it the way I used to. Stayed solid. Strong. Just leveling up. I pulled away gently, drank my shake, didn't elaborate. "You been at the gym a lot lately?" Like, every day. 6 days. Rest day Sunday. Sip. Eye contact. Nothing else offered. "You trying to lose weight or something?" "You don't need to. You perfect." "Not trying to lose anything. Building something." Double meaning he didn't catch. I wasn't building just muscle, I was building my exit strategy, my new life, my post-Jamal identity. He looked confused, slightly threatened, like he could feel me slipping but couldn't articulate how or why. "You training for something?" "Freedom." I smiled, kissed his cheek, walked past him toward the bedroom. "Gonna shower." Left him standing there trying to figure out what the fuck that meant. Wednesday morning, the email arrived from A.Martinez at techvision.com. Subject: Senior Cybersecurity Analyst Opportunity, TechVision Atlanta. Dear Ayesha, your profile came to our attention through a colleague referral, and we're impressed by your background in cybersecurity analysis and leadership. TechVision is expanding our Atlanta office and seeking a senior analyst to lead a team of 8 in building next-generation security infrastructure. Compensation: $140,000 base salary, 20% increase from your current, 15% annual bonus potential. Full benefits: 401k match up to 6%, flexible remote work, 3 days home 2 days office, unlimited PTO, $5,000 annual. Professional development budget. Would you be available for a preliminary conversation this week? I read it 3 times in the bathroom while Jamal was making coffee, my hands shaking slightly, not from fear but from the rush of possibility, from doors opening, from the universe confirming that I was making the right moves. $140k. A 20% raise. Fully remote start, meaning I could work from literally anywhere, like a new apartment far away from this loft and these memories and this man. I responded within 10 minutes. Available Thursday 2 p.m. for initial call. Recruiter replied within 20 minutes. Perfect. Calendar invite sent. I signed the digital NDA they sent over, prepared my talking points, researched the company, founded 2015, Series C funding, 200 employees nationwide, strong Glassdoor reviews, CEO who was a black woman, Sister Jamila Washington, Howard grad, former Google exec, company culture that emphasized integrity, transparency, and excellence. Integrity. Transparency. Point 2 things Jamal knew nothing about. Interview went flawlessly Thursday afternoon. I took the call from a conference room at my current office that I'd reserved for personal business, wore a blazer over my gym clothes because who needed to dress fully corporate for a video call, articulated my experience with confidence and clarity, asked intelligent questions about team structure and growth opportunities and company vision. Ayesha, I'll be direct, said Jamila Washington herself, who joined the final 20 minutes of the call. We're looking for someone who can not only handle the technical aspects but can lead with integrity. Our security team is the backbone of client trust. Any red flags in your current role we should know about? We do thorough background and reference checks. None on my end, I said confidently. I've built my reputation on ethical practice and transparent communication. Trust is everything in security. You can't protect what you don't respect. She smiled, nodded. I like you. Offer letter coming within 48 hours pending reference checks. Welcome to TechVision, pending formalities. Friday morning, offer letter arrived. I signed it in 10 minutes flat. Start date, November 15th, 4 weeks away, enough time to give notice and transition. Told no one. Not my current colleagues. Not my friends. Certainly not Jamal. He came home Friday evening to find me in workout gear again, because I'd been at the gym. Sweat glistened and radiant, abs starting to show, arms defined, body transforming in real time. Ma, you looking different, like different. You glowing. I winked. Just leveling up, baby. Just becoming who I'm supposed to be. He thought I was loyal to us, improving for us, glowing because of our love. That I was ghosting mentally, already packing invisible bags, preparing for a life where he didn't exist except as a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong man. The infamous 3 a.m. slip-up sealed his paranoia spiral. Saturday night, technically Sunday morning, the door creaked open at 3:17 a.m. exactly. I know because I checked my phone immediately, wide awake despite pretending to be deep asleep, every sense on high alert. Cheap vanilla perfume wafted through the door like a crime scene marker. Kendra's scent, unmistakable, the same Ariana Grande cloud bullshit she'd been wearing at the barbecue, Sweet and synthetic and completely different from my Chanel No. 5. Footsteps shuffled toward the bathroom, trying to be quiet but failing because drunk people always think they're stealthier than they are. Water running hard, trying to mask evidence, washing off her smell, her lipstick, her touch, scrubbing away the betrayal like soap and water could cleanse guilt. I slept through it. Breath steady as a yogi's, chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm. Eyes cracked just enough to watch shadows move across our bedroom walls in the dim light from the street lamps outside. I saw him strip off his clothes, the same clothes he'd left in hours ago, claiming boys' night with Marcus and Dre, the same polo shirt that now smelled like her, the same jeans that probably had evidence of her all over them. He showered for 20 minutes. Long shower. Guilt shower. Washing away the affair shower. Crawled into bed at 3:45 a.m., careful not to wake me, settling on his side like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't just come from another woman's bed, like our sheets weren't being contaminated by his lies. That I didn't move. Didn't confront. Didn't say a word, just filed it away in my mental evidence folder marked Exhibit E, Timeline of Deception. Morning light filtered through blinds around 8 a.m. I stretched, yawned, played the role of woman just waking up, oblivious to nocturnal betrayals. Morning, baby. Smiled at him, all sunshine and innocence. He looked rough, bloodshot eyes, stubble shadowing guilt on his jaw, the physical manifestation of a man who'd been out all night doing shit he shouldn't. Rough night at work, babe? My voice was honey-sweet concern, girlfriend worried about her hard-working man. He stammered, eyes darting to his reflection in the mirror across from our bed like he was checking how guilty he looked. Yeah, ma, deadline crunch. Team all-nighter. Just got home like an hour ago. Lies stacking on lies. Poor baby. I got up, kissed his forehead tenderly, the same forehead that had probably been buried in Kendra's neck hours ago, the same skin that had touched hers. Rest up, king. You deserve it. Silence sliced deeper than any curse word ever could, a razor through flesh. Each gentle word was a blade. Each tender gesture was a twist of the knife. Each moment of me being understanding was me tightening the noose around his neck. He clung harder after that, brought home gifts like guilt manifested in material form. YSL Libra perfume $140, the big bottle, still in Sephora bag with receipt. Saw this and thought of you. I spritzed it on, inhaling the floral amber notes, letting him see me appreciate it, letting him think his guilt gifts were working. It's beautiful, baby. Thank you. Kiss on the cheek. Smile that reached my eyes because I was genuinely happy, not because of the gift but because every gift was more evidence, more documentation, more proof of his guilty conscience. New Apple Watch Series 8 $400 plus, rose gold to match my aesthetic, already set up and paired to my phone. Figured you needed an upgrade since you're working out so much. Perfect. Now I could track MY data, sync it to MY devices, have my own ecosystem separate from his, prepare for digital separation. You're so thoughtful. Another kiss. Another smile. Another nail in his coffin, flowers delivered to my office, expensive arrangement from Bloomingdale's, roses and peonies and those exotic flowers nobody can pronounce, card that said, to my queen. I'm the luckiest man alive. Your king, my co-workers swooned. Girl, he's so romantic. Husband material. You better lock that down. If only they knew social chess intensified across platforms like a grandmaster executing a 15-move checkmate sequence. I created an anonymous Slack handle -ethics matter ATL using a burner email from ProtonMail that couldn't be traced back to me, routing through a VPN because cybersecurity professionals know how to cover digital tracks better than criminals. I infiltrated his work channel via a shared invite link from months back when he'd added me to his company's social events Slack so I could see updates about holiday parties and team outings, Nobody had removed me. Amateur IT security. Once inside, I lurked in #general and #tech leadership channels, watching conversations flow, getting a feel for company culture, identifying the power players and the gossips and the people who cared about reputation. Then I started dropping polls. Casual and non-threatening ethics matter ATL. Quick pulse check for y'all. Loyalty in leadership non-negotiable core value, or flexible depending on circumstances. Within an hour, 47 people had voted. 85% said non-negotiable, 12% said depends on context, 3% said flexible. The comments section was even better. Trust is everything. Can't lead if people don't believe your word. Once someone shows you they're disloyal, believe them. Character doesn't change. We had a manager get fired last year for ethics violations. Company doesn't play about integrity. I watched Jamal's icon appear in the channel little green dot, showing he was online, showing he was reading, showing he was seeing this conversation about loyalty and ethics while actively being disloyal and unethical in his personal life. He didn't vote. Didn't comment. Just lurked and logged off. Guilty conscience is a hell of a thing. Kendra's Instagram Finsta became my entertainment. She had a public account at Kendra Lives Lux with 8,400 followers, all carefully curated photos of brunch and designer bags and inspirational quotes about knowing your worth and queen energy. But she also had a Finsta that I found through some light social engineering and OSINT, open source intelligence, work. Her Finsta was at Kendra No Chill 427 followers, locked account, but I created a burner profile at Atlanta Girls Night Out, filled with stolen photos of random black women at clubs, bio, ATL born and raised good vibes only, requested to follow, and she accepted within 12 hours because people are predictable and thirsty for followers. The Finsta was gold. Pure, unfiltered evidence, photos from inside hotel rooms with captions like when he says his girl don't understand him and side piece Saturday hits different screenshots of their text conversations, his texts to her. With her commentary, he really said he's leaving her soon, heard that before Lamau videos of her trying on lingerie with tags like For Daddy's Eyes only posts about shopping trips. When your boo spoils you, even though he broke with photos of Gucci bags and Louboutin heels and all the shit he was buying with our money, with funds from our joint account, with the financial future we were supposed to be building together. She even posted a photo from the BBQ group shot by the fire pit, but she'd zoomed in on just her and Jamal, cropped everyone else out, captioned, "Family functions with BAE family, they love me lol." The audacity of this woman. But her audacity was my ammunition. I lurked on that Finsta with my burner account, liking strategic photos, the thirst traps poolside, the lace lingerie shots, the soft life aspirational content, always with fire emojis and heart eyes, always engaging just enough to stay on her radar but not enough to seem suspicious. Then I started commenting from the burner, "Girl, where you get that set from?" Under a lingerie post she responded, "Fashion Nova babe. Link in bio." We started deeming me as at Atlanta Girls Night Out, asking her where she got her hair done, where she shopped, building rapport like we were becoming genuine friends, like I was just another ATL girl who appreciated her aesthetic. After 2 weeks of casual conversation, I dropped, "Girl, I saw your story at that barbecue. You got a man? You'll look cute." Kendra, Lamau, it's complicated, he got a whole situation but we working through it. Me, oh, one of those, well, if he make you happy. Life too short, Kendra, right? And like his girl cool but they not even really together fr. He sleep on the couch most nights anyway, lies. He'd been in our bed every single night except when he was in hers, but I screenshot everything. Documented her version of events. Built the narrative that would later show, she knew he was taken, participated willingly, was actually mocking me behind my back. Then I sent her a DM that would detonate everything, but I waited. Timing is everything in warfare. Financial flex came next, cold and calculated. Our joint Chase savings account $45,000 accumulated over 3 years from tax refunds, $18,000, his bonuses, $15,000, my bonuses, $8,000, and regular contributions, $4,000, representing thousands of hours of work and sacrifice and planning for a future that would never happen. Saw a major transaction on Tuesday morning at 9:47 a.m. I transferred $27,500, my calculated half plus a little extra for emotional damages, to my personal Bank of America account that only I had access to, that he didn't even know existed because I'd opened it 2 months ago in preparation for exactly this moment. The transfer was fully legal. I was a joint account holder. I'd contributed more than half over the years. When you factored in that I'd paid more rent initially when he was between jobs, I'd covered more groceries and utilities when his startup costs for his career transition ate his paychecks. But I didn't tell him. Just moved the money silently, watched the balance drop from $45,000 to $17,500, and waited for him to notice that he didn't check the account regularly. That was my job. I was the responsible one who tracked our finances and paid bills and made sure we weren't overdrafting, so he had no idea our nest egg had just been cut in half. I consulted my lawyer cousin Keisha on Zoom that same evening, told Jamal I was catching up with family, and took the call from our bedroom with the door closed while he watched football in the living room. Keisha practiced family law in Decatur, had been crushing it for 5 years since graduating from Emory Law, was sharp as hell, and had seen every kind of relationship disaster imaginable. "Girl, tell me what's going on. You sounded stressed in your text." She was in her home office, law books visible behind her, her locks pulled back in a professional bun, glasses perched on her nose. I laid it out efficiently: the affair, the evidence, the timeline, my plan to exit, my questions about legal exposure. She listened without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad, her face shifting from shock to anger to professional focus. "Okay, first, I'm so sorry, cousin. That's foul as hell and you deserve better." Pause. "But legally, you're in a strong position. Y'all aren't married, so no divorce proceedings. No prenup because no marriage. No kids, thankfully. Living situation? Both names on the lease until March. Month to month. After that, easy. You can walk away anytime with 30 days notice to the landlord. Joint account. I already moved my half plus a bit. Smart. You contributed equally or more. More, if we're being honest. I covered him through his job transition. Then you're legally clear that's your money. He'd have to prove in court that you stole from him, and based on what you're telling me about contribution ratios, he can't." She made more notes. "Any joint credit cards?" "One. But I'm an authorized user. He's the primary account holder. Remove yourself ASAP. You don't want liability for his spending, especially if he's using that card for affair-related purchases." "Already did it yesterday." Keisha smiled, impressed. "You're 3 steps ahead. Good. What about his job situation? You mentioned evidence. Screenshots, hotel receipts, location data, the whole 9. Thinking about sending an anonymous tip to his HR." She paused, lawyer brain calculating risk versus reward. "Legally, you can do that. It's not defamation if it's true and you have evidence. However, she held up a finger, be careful about how you obtained that evidence. You went through his phone? Unlocked, left charging in our shared bedroom. No password needed at the time. Okay, so no illegal hacking, no breaking and entering, just noticing something in plain view in your shared space. That's defensible. But Ayesha." She leaned closer to the camera. "Think about whether you want to burn that bridge. Is destroying his career going to give you closure, or is it going to drag you into ongoing drama? Valid point. But also, I'm not trying to destroy him. I'm trying to establish consequences. He used company resources, company card, company time, company phone for personal affairs. That's an ethics violation by their own standards. I'm just providing information they should have. Keisha nodded slowly. All right. If you do it, use a truly anonymous email, Proton Mail, VPN, the works. Don't send from any device that can be traced to you. Don't reference anything you couldn't have known from public sources. Keep it factual, attach evidence, let them investigate. Noted. And girl, document everything. Every interaction with him from now until you leave. Dates, times, what was said, witnesses if any. If this gets messy, if he tries to claim you're vindictive or unstable or making shit up, you want a paper trail that shows you were methodical and factual and acting in self-defense, not offense. Already on it. I've been keeping a journal. Perfect. One more thing, get your important documents and valuables out of that apartment before you tell him anything. Birth certificate, passport, social security card, any jewelry or electronics or items with sentimental value. Store them at your mama's or a friend's. Men can get unpredictable when they realize they've lost control. That thought-chilled mither idea that Jamal could become dangerous, could become violent, could become someone I didn't recognize. But she was right. Better safe than sorry. I will. Thanks, Keisha. Anytime, cousin. And seriously, you're handling this like a boss. Most women would have blown up, caused a scene, made themselves look crazy. You're playing chess while he's playing checkers. Proud of you. She smiled warmly. But also, when this is all over and you're safe and moved out, let yourself grieve. Let yourself be hurt. Don't just suppress it all in the name of strategy. Okay. I nodded, throat tight suddenly. Okay. We hung up, and I sat there for a moment in the bedroom, listening to the muffled sounds of the football game through the door, and I let myself feel it for just a minute, the sadness, the betrayal, the loss of who I thought he was, the death of the future we'd planned. Then I wiped my eyes, fixed my face, and walked back out to the living room smiling. TikTok became my creative outlet and my future income stream. I'd always been semi-active on the platform, posting occasional outfit of the day videos, some cooking content, random thoughts, but now I approached it strategically, building a brand, cultivating an audience, preparing for monetization. New content series launched. Quiet quitting relationships. The first video was me in our bedroom mirror, full length, wearing gym clothes that showed off my transformation, braids in a high ponytail, natural makeup, red lip, confidence radiating. POV. You discovered he's been lying, but instead of confronting him, you just start planning your exit in silence. Cut to shots of me working out, meal prepping, working on my laptop, smiling at the camera, looking happy and unbothered. Text overlay. Strategic silence is the most powerful weapon. Watch. Sound. That trending audio of a woman saying you're going to watch me walk away and realize you fucked up. Posted at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. Went to bed. Woke up to chaos. 50,000 views overnight. Comments section was insane. This is me RN. He think everything good, but I'm moving in silence. Queen energy. They hate when you don't react. My ex wishes I would have given him a confrontation. I just left. No note. No text. Gone. The way I screamed. More of this content, please. Men really be shocked when the woman they disrespected just leaves. Sir, what did you expect? By end of week, that video had 250k views, 12k likes, 3K shares, and my follower count jumped from 2,400 to 8,500. I posted a follow-up, me getting ready, full glam, red dress, heels, text overlay. He asked where I'm going, all dressed up. I just smiled and said out. That's it. That's the tweet. Another 100K views, comments. The power. Let him wonder, sis. This is how you do it. Silent but deadly. Third video, me at the gym, deadlifting 225, focused and strong, text overlay, building the body that will walk away from him and never look back. Physical strength equals mental strength. Sound, Megan Thee Stallion's Her in the background, views, 180K. Followers now at 12K. Brands started reaching out. Fashion Nova wanted to send clothes for promotion, a meal prep company offered partnership, a gym supplement brand asked about ambassadorship. I replied to the legitimate ones, started negotiations, began building an income stream separate from my 9 to 5, preparing for financial independence that didn't rely on any man. Jamal scrolled past one of my videos unknowingly one evening, chuckled while we were both on the couch. These girls wild. Strategic silence. Just communicate, damn. I looked at him, smiled. Yeah, wild. Then looked back at my phone where I was scripting my next video about gaslighting tactics and how to document everything. Irony thick as Atlanta humidity in July. Week 2 closed with a networking gala that would shift everything. The event. Black Tech Excellence Gala at the Fox Theatre, that gorgeous historic venue in Midtown with the Egyptian-themed interior, crystal chandeliers dripping from ornate ceilings, red velvet seats, architectural details that made you feel like you'd stepped into 1920s luxury. Black tie affair. Atlanta's black tech professionals gathering to celebrate innovation, network, and honestly just look good informal, where while sipping champagne and pretending we weren't all tired from our actual jobs. Tickets were $150 each. Jamal had bought them months ago, back when we were solid, back when attending events like this together was part of our brand as a power couple. But I suggested casually, over breakfast the morning of that, maybe we should arrive separately. Why? He looked up from his phone, suspicious. Well, you mentioned you wanted to network with some VPs who'll be there, right? And I need to connect with some security professionals. Makes sense to work the room independently, cover more ground, then meet up for dinner portion. Said it like it was logical, strategic, beneficial for both of us. He bought it. True. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Text me when you get there. Of course. I arrived at 7 p.m. in an emerald green gown, floor length, Giovanni brand, $400, worth every penny, backless with a plunging neckline that was elegant rather than trashy, hugging every curve that I'd been sculpting at the gym, fabric that caught light and shimmered when I moved, making me look like money and power and danger, all wrapped in silk hair, braids swept into an elegant low bun with baby hairs laid perfectly, makeup, full glam, smoky eye, contoured to the gods, highlighter on cheekbones. Catching chandelier light, red lip, of course, lashes long enough to cause wind damage, jewelry, simple gold hoops, delicate gold necklace, the Rolex he'd bought me for my birthday. Funny how symbols of love become symbols of irony. Heels, black Louboutins, $800, bought with MY bonus money. Red soles flashing with every step like a warning sign. I walked into that theater lobby and heads turned. The energy shifted. Conversations paused. Men stared. Women noticed and either smiled in appreciation or frowned in competition. I worked that room like a campaign politician, business cards exchanged with VPs and CEOs and founders, conversations about cybersecurity trends and AI integration and the future of tech in Atlanta, laughter at jokes from executives who controlled seven-figure budgets, strategic positioning near the people who mattered. Met 3 VPs from different tech companies, all of whom said some version of, We should talk about opportunities. We're always looking for talent like you. Connected with Jasmine Rodriguez, a cybersecurity consultant who ran her own firm and was looking for senior analysts. Girl, your reputation precedes you. I've heard your name in circles. Let's do coffee. Exchanged details with David Chen, a recruiter for Google's Atlanta office. We don't have openings right now, but when we do, I want to call you first. Your skill set is exactly what we need. I felt powerful. Not just beautiful, not just desired, but valued. Seen for my mind and my expertise and my potential, not just as someone's girlfriend, not just as arm candy, but as Ayesha Jackson, cybersecurity analyst and future executive and woman who was going places. Jamal texted around 8:30. Where you at, babe? Haven't seen you yet. Didn't respond immediately. Let him wonder. Let him search. Let him feel what it's like to not know where I am or who I'm with or what I'm doing. Responded 20 minutes later. Networking. See you at dinner seating. Found my assigned table, eventually table 7, near the front, good positioning. Jamal was already there, talking to some colleagues from his company, and when I approached his eyes widened. Damn, Ma. You look. He stood up, tried to pull me in for a kiss. I gave him my cheek, smiled for the audience, sat down gracefully. Thank you, baby. Dinner was surf and turf, lobster tail and filet mignon, roasted vegetables, some fancy potato situation, bread rolls that were probably amazing but I didn't touch because carbs weren't in my macros, wine flowing freely. I was charming. Engaging. Talked to the other people at our table: a startup founder, a developer from Microsoft, a project manager from Salesforce, a marketing director from MailChimp. Asked questions, shared insights, made connections, collected more business cards. Jamal watched me with an expression I couldn't quite read, pride mixed with confusion, mixed with something that might have been possessiveness or might have been insecurity. After dinner, during the mingling portion where people moved between tables and the bar opened and the DJ started playing, multiple men approached. Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I had to come say you look absolutely stunning tonight. Are you here with someone, or would you be interested in grabbing a drink? I've been watching you network all night. You're impressive. Would love to connect professionally, or personally. I handled each one with grace, thanked them for compliments, mentioned I was currently unavailable but flattered, collected business cards for professional purposes. Never gave Jamal the satisfaction of seeing me reject men because I was taken. He appeared at my elbow around 10 p.m., hand on my lower back, territorial, voice tight. You good? Lot of dudes approaching you tonight. Just networking, baby. Isn't that what we came for? Smiled innocently. Yeah, but you don't need to network with dudes who clearly trying to holler. Am I not allowed to be friendly? To make professional connections? Turned it back on him, made him sound jealous and controlling. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Still smiling, but eyes cold now, letting him see a flash of the power shift, the balance tilting. He backpedaled. Nothing, Ma. You right. I'm just protective. Non-committal sound. Looked away, spotted someone I wanted to talk to. I'm going to go say hi to Jasmine. Be back. Walked away without waiting for permission, leaving him standing there looking confused and slightly afraid. The night I left him, I chose violence, the silent kind, the kind that destroys without a single raised voice, the kind that leaves nothing but ashes and regret. It was our 3-year anniversary, November 7th, exactly 4 weeks since I'd discovered the truth, exactly 28 days of perfect performance, exactly 672 hours of strategic silence that had wound around him like a noose while he smiled, oblivious. He'd made reservations at STK Steakhouse, that upscale spot in Midtown where rich People ate $80 steaks and took Instagram photos, where the lighting was moody and dim, where the music was just loud enough to feel like a club but quiet enough to have conversation, where velvet booths and Edison bulbs and beautiful people created an atmosphere of luxury and celebration. I spent the entire day preparing not for him, but for Emmy, for my grand exit, for the moment I'd been architecting for a month. Hair appointment at noon, fresh braids taken down, natural hair washed and deep conditioned and blown out, styled in voluminous curls that cascaded past my shoulders, edges laid with that gel that held through humidity and wind and the collapse of relationships, baby hairs sculpted into delicate swirls, nail appointment at 2 p.m., full set, coffin shape, sharp, lethal. Deep red chrome that looked like blood mixed with diamonds, toes to match because details matter. Makeup at 4 p.m. Done by a professional MUA at MAC Full Glam, smoky eye in golds and bronzes, contour so sharp it could cut glass. Highlighter on cheekbones that made me look like I was lit from within by divine power, nude to red ombre lip that transitioned from brown edges to deep crimson center, lashes that could cause hurricanes, the dress, black velvet bodycon from Revolve, $380, purchased specifically for this moment, hugging every curve that I'd carved in the gym over the past month, showing off the body transformation that represented my mental transformation, the kind of dress that stops hearts and traffic and time itself. Long sleeves but with strategic cutouts at the shoulders and sides, showing hints of skin without being obvious, backless down to the curve of my spine where a delicate gold chain draped, hem hitting mid-thigh, paired with black Louboutin stilettos, $900. Red soles like the blood I was about to draw metaphorically, that made my legs look endless. Accessories, minimal small gold hoops, the Cartier love bracelet I'd bought myself with my new job signing bonus, $7,500, arrived yesterday, he didn't know about it. My Apple Watch switched to a leather band that looked elegant rather than sporty, and the YSL clutch he'd bought me last month as guilt payment, repurposed now as a symbol of irony perfume. Tom Ford Black Orchid, $150, new purchase. Sensual and dark and completely different from anything I'd worn around him before, spritzed on pulse points wrists, neck, behind knees marking this new version of myself that I looked in our full-length mirror at 6:45 p.m., 15 minutes before we were supposed to leave, and I barely recognized the woman staring back. She was powerful. She was dangerous. She was free. Jamal was already dressed navy suit from Suit Supply, crisp white shirt, no tie because he thought it looked more modern, Ferragamo loafers, cologne that I used to love but now just smelled like Betrayal, hair freshly twisted, beard lined up, looking objectively good, looking like the man I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago when everything was possible and nothing was ruined yet. When I walked out of the bedroom, he literally stopped moving, drink frozen halfway to his mouth. Eyes going wide. Ayesha, Ma, you look. He couldn't finish the sentence, just stared. Thank you. I smiled, not the warm smile I'd given him for 3 years, but something cooler, more remote, the smile of a queen acknowledging a peasant's compliment. That dress is, damn. You wearing that for me? Hopeful, possessive, already imagining peeling it off later, already thinking about the sex we'd have after dinner, the makeup sex, the anniversary sex, completely unaware that this was a funeral, not a celebration. I'm wearing it for me. Corrected him gently but firmly. Ready? Yeah. Let me get a picture first, you look too good not to document. He pulled out his phone, that same iPhone that held evidence of his betrayal, that same device I'd screenshot a month ago, and he took photos of me 5, 6, 7 shots from different angles while I posed, while I performed, while I gave him the illusion that everything was normal. He posted one. Immediately to Instagram, me standing by our floor-to-ceiling windows with the Atlanta skyline behind me, city lights twinkling, caption, 3 years with this queen. Blessed doesn't even cover it. Anniversary date night with my forever. #3 years strong #black love #she's mine within minutes, 400 plus likes, dozens of comments. Y'all are goals. Black love at its finest. Put a ring on it already. Beautiful couple. God bless y'all. 3 years. When's the wedding? I watched the comments roll in from my own phone, watched people celebrate a relationship that was already dead, watched them praise a man who was about to lose everything, and I felt nothing. No sadness. No anger. Just cold, clear purpose. We arrived at STK at 7:30 p.m. fashionably late because that's how we rolled, valet taking his BMW keys, those keys to that car I'd helped him get, walking into the restaurant like we owned it, turning heads because we looked good, because we were that couple, because from the outside we were relationship goals and nobody could see the rot underneath. The hostess led us to our table booth in the back corner, intimate and private, perfect for anniversary conversations and romantic moments, and also perfect for what I was about to do. Jamal slid in first, expected me to slide in next to him like I usually did, close and affectionate, but I slid into the opposite side, faced him across the table like we were negotiating a business deal. He looked confused for a second but recovered. Okay, I see you. You want to look at me while we eat. I respect that. Smiled like it was cute, like it was romantic, like it wasn't a power move. Waiter appeared, young white guy, probably an actor waiting for his big break, reciting specials in that rehearsed way servers do. Good evening and welcome to STK. Can I start you folks off with something from the bar? Bottle of your Chemis Cabernet, Jamal ordered without looking at the menu, ordering the $200 bottle we'd shared on previous anniversaries, the wine that was our wine, trying to recreate past magic. Make it the Opus one instead, I interjected smoothly. $400 bottle. Tonight deserves the best. Jamal's eyes widened slightly. $400 was double what he'd planned to spend, but he nodded, playing along. Yeah, the Opus one. You're right, baby. Only the best for us. The irony of him saying only the best when he'd been giving me scraps and lies for 4 months was not lost on me. Wine arrived, got poured, we toasted. To 3 years, he said, raising his glass, eyes soft with nostalgia or guilt or some mixture of both. To many more. I raised mine but didn't clink. To truth. Sipped. Maintained eye contact over the rim of the glass. He looked uncomfortable for a fraction of a second, that micro-expression that people get when something feels off but they can't articulate what, but then smiled. Yeah, truth. Honesty. That's what we got, what makes us strong. The audacity. We ordered him the Wagyu strip, $95, me the lobster tail with Alaskan king crab legs, $120, sides of truffle mac and cheese and roasted Brussels sprouts and asparagus, the kind of meal that costs $500 before tax and tip, the kind of excess that celebrates special occasions. While we waited for food, he reached across the table, tried to take my hand and I let him, fingers intertwining with his, the same hands that had touched her, the same hands that had held his phone while he lied. The same hands that had packed 4 work trips that were actually hotel rendezvous. Ayesha, I just want to say. He paused, gathered his thoughts, looking sincere, looking vulnerable, looking like a man about to confess. This year has been challenging, you know? Work stress, life shit, trying to figure out my career trajectory and where we're going and all that. But through everything, you have been my constant. My rock. The reason I keep pushing. I listened, face neutral, letting him talk. And I know I haven't always been the best boyfriend. I know I've been distant sometimes, been stressed, been working. I love you, Ayesha Jackson. More than I've loved anyone. You're my queen, my best friend, my future wife. He squeezed my hand. I know we haven't talked about it officially, but I've been thinking, maybe it's time. Maybe we should make this official. Was he about to propose? Here. Now. After 4 months of cheating? He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a small box, not Tiffany blue but close, from some local jeweler probably, and my stomach dropped, not from excitement but from the absolute gall of this man. I don't have the ring yet, wanted you to pick it out with me, but this is a promise. He opened the box, a simple gold band, placeholder, symbol of future promises. Promise that I'm serious. Promise that you're my forever. Promise that stop. One word. Quiet but absolute. He froze, box open, mid-proposal, confusion crossing his face. What? Stop talking. I pulled my hand back, folded both hands in my lap, looked at him with eyes that had gone from warm to glacial in the space of a breath. Baby, what's wrong? I thought how's Kendra? Silence. Complete, absolute, deafening silence. His face went through a journey, confusion to recognition to panic to attempted recovery in about 3 seconds. Who? Kendra Thompson. 3560, Piedmont Road Northeast, Unit 2204. Buckhead high-rise. Light-skinned. Long weave. The woman you've been fucking in hotel rooms for the past 4 months while I made your breakfast and planned our future. His face drained of color. Literally. Went from brown to ashy in real time. Ayesha the Ritz-Carlton in June. The W Hotel in July. The St. Regis in August. Marriott Marquis in September. Back to the Ritz in October. $3,200 in hotel charges from our joint account. Want me to provide receipts? Because I have them. Literally. Screenshots. Bank statements. GPS data from your Apple Watch. Text messages. Photos she posted to her Finsta. Should I continue? Waiter appeared at the worst possible moment with our steaks and lobster, set them down with oblivious cheerfulness — careful, plates are hot, and disappeared before he could sense the nuclear explosion happening at table 14. Jamal sat there, mouth opening and closing like a fish, no words coming out, the ring box still open in his hand like a mockery. I've known for a month, I continued, voice calm, clinical, a doctor delivering a terminal diagnosis. October 8th, Tuesday morning. Your phone was charging. Message from Kendra with the heart emoji you put next to her name. Missed you last night, Daddy. When you leaving her for real? Ring a bell? Baby, I can explain — don't. I held up a hand. Don't call me baby. Don't insult me further by trying to explain. There's no explanation that makes this acceptable. There's no context that makes you less of a liar. The food sat untouched between us, cooling, expensive protein becoming worthless in the face of human betrayal. For a month, Jamal. A month. I've known everything. And I said nothing. Not one word. Just watched you. Watched you bring me guilt gifts, the perfume, the Apple Watch, the flowers to my office. Watched you post us on Instagram. Watched you introduce me to Kendra at your family barbecue like I was stupid, like I wouldn't figure it out, like I was some naive little girl who would just accept your lies. Ayesha, please — I met her, by the way. Well, met is generous. She hugged me. Complimented my braids. Ate the potato salad I served her. All while she was fucking you. All while she was posting screenshots of your texts to her Finsta, calling you a clown, mocking me for not knowing. His eyes were filling with tears, now real or performed, I didn't care. But here's the thing, Jamal. I leaned forward slightly, voice dropping lower, more dangerous. I didn't confront you because I didn't need to. I didn't yell or cry or beg for answers because I'm not that woman. I'm the woman who moves in silence. The woman who plans. The woman who leaves while you're still trying to figure out what happened. I pulled out my phone, not his brand anymore. I'd switched to Samsung last week and opened my Notes app where I'd documented everything. So let me tell you what I've done while you thought everything was fine. 1. Moved $27,500 from our joint savings to my personal account. That's my half plus reparations for emotional damages. Fully legal since I contributed more anyway. 2. Accepted a new job. Senior analyst at TechVision. $140,000 base salary, 20% raise, fully remote. Start date November 15th, that's 8 days from now. Already gave my notice at current job. You didn't know because I didn't tell you. 3. Secured a new apartment. Midtown high-rise, 22nd floor, 1 bedroom, $3,200 a month, which I can now easily afford with my new salary. Move-in date November 12th, that's 5 days from now. Already paid deposit and first month. Furniture being delivered Wednesday. 4. Removed myself as authorized user from your credit card. Opened my own accounts. Separated all finances. We are financially divorced as of 3 days ago. 5. Sent an anonymous tip to your company's HR department with screenshots of you using company resources, company phone, company time, company card for personal affairs. That's an ethics violation per TechSphere's Code of Conduct, page 23, section 4.2, if you want to look it up. They're reviewing it now. Might want to check your work email. His phone sitting on the table buzzed. He looked at it instinctively. Email notification from HR. Please schedule meeting ASAP. Ethics review. His face went even more pale, which I didn't think was physically possible. 6. Built a social media following documenting my silent revenge journey. 15,000 TikTok followers who've been watching me glow up while planning my exit. Brand partnership deals coming in. Monetization activated. I'm literally getting paid to leave you. 7. Contacted Kendra myself through a burner account. Let her know you told me she was crazy and making shit up and just a work friend. Sent her screenshots of you telling Emmy that Esachi didn't mean anything. Women talk, Jamal. We compare notes. She's filing for emotional distress in small claims $10K. Good luck with that. 8. Your sister Tasha knows. Your cousin Dre knows. Your mama is about to know because I'm having lunch with her tomorrow to explain why things didn't work out. And I'll be very honest, very factual, very detailed. Your family loves me, by the way. Might want to prepare for that. He was crying now, full tears streaming down his face, shoulders shaking, trying to be quiet because we were in a public restaurant but failing. Ayesha, please. Please. I fucked up. I know I fucked up. But we can fix this. I'll end things with her, already did, I swear. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't leave. Please don't leave. I stared at him, this man I'd loved for 3 years, this man I'd built dreams with, this man I'd thought was my forever, and I felt nothing. No love. No hate. Just indifference. You don't get it, do you? I said softly. This isn't about whether we can fix it. This is about whether I want to. And I don't. You broke something that can't be unbroken. You lied to me every single day for 4 months. You risked my health, our health, by sleeping with both of us without my knowledge or consent. You used our money to finance your affair. You made me an accomplice in my own betrayal. I stood up, smoothing my dress, grabbing my clutch. The lease is in both our names until March, but I'm leaving early. You can have the apartment. Keep the furniture, I'm starting fresh. My stuff will be gone by Friday. I've hired movers. Don't try to stop them. Don't try to contact me. Don't show up at my new place because you don't have the address and you won't get it. Ayesha-goodbye, Jamal. 3 words. Final. Absolute. I turned and walked away, heels clicking on marble floors, head high, back straight, every eye in the restaurant watching, because that's what happens when a queen exits, when power moves through space, when silence finally breaks into action. He didn't follow. Just sat there at that table with cold steak and expensive wine and an unopened ring box and the ruins of everything we'd been. The valet brought my Audi Q5 pearl white, paid off, mine, and I drove away into Atlanta night, Megan Thee Stallion's Plan B blasting through speakers. I'd rather be alone than in the wrong nest, I'd rather be at home doing my own thing. Epilogue. 6 months later, May 2024. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I served it frozen. Jamal's life post-breakup reads like a cautionary tale. Job terminated from TechSphere 2 weeks after the ethics review concluded. Cause: multiple policy violations including misuse of company resources and conduct unbecoming. Blackballed in Atlanta tech scene, his name flagged in recruiter databases. Nobody will touch him. Finances drained. Kendra's $50,000 emotional distress lawsuit settled for $35,000 after his lawyer fees took another $10,000. The remaining joint savings, $17,500, barely covered last deposit on a new place after I left. BMW repossessed after missing 3 payments. Housing. Couch surfing between his cousin Dre's place and random Airbnbs because nobody wants a broke, jobless, ethically compromised roommate. Last I heard, he was looking at studio apartments in College Park for $1,200 per month. Family. Mama Carter blocked his number for 3 months after I showed her the evidence over lunch. She cried. She apologized to me. She said I didn't raise him like this. Tasha refuses to speak to him. LaToya invited me to family events specifically and told him not to come. His daddy would be ashamed. Relationships. Single. Kendra ghosted him completely after getting her settlement. Dating apps aren't working because Atlanta women talk and word spread fast. He's known now. The guy who cheated on Ayesha. That's his reputation. Social media. Deleted Instagram after the comments section became toxic. People were tagging him in my TikToks about silent revenge. His last post, before deletion, had 300+ comments calling him trash. Mental health. Spiral. Publicly. Mutual friends report his drinking heavy, depressed, barely leaving the house except for job interviews that go nowhere because his employment gap and termination reason always come up. My life post-breakup reads like a victory lap. Job, thriving at TechVision. Promoted to Director of Cybersecurity, Q3 2024, with $180,000 base plus equity. Leading a 12-person team building next-gen security infrastructure. Executive track confirmed VP potential within 18 months. Housing. My Midtown high-rise evolved from 1-bedroom to 2-bedroom corner unit, upgraded 6 months in, with views for days. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern kitchen with quartz counters, rainfall shower that feels like luxury every morning, walk-in closet that's organized like a boutique. Art on walls, Basquiat prints, local black artists, pieces that mean something. Balcony herb garden, thriving basil, mint, rosemary used for cooking and cocktails. Finances, stacked. Six-figure salary plus brand partnerships plus TikTok monetization equals multiple income streams. Savings rebuilt to $50,000 plus. Investment portfolio started. Retirement accounts maxed. Credit score 780 plus. Financially independent and secure. Body, transformed. Marathon training for Peachtree Road Race, completed in 1:45:37 personal best. Size 8 dresses fitting perfectly. Muscle definition visible abs, arms, legs all showing the work. Strong physically and mentally. Gym still my therapy. Social media, exploded. TikTok followers at 50K plus with monetization active. Silent Queen's Rise series went viral, total views across all videos, 5 million plus. Merch launched. Silence is power t-shirts and hoodies selling 2K plus units first month. Brand deals with Fashion Nova, Fabletics, meal prep companies. Book deal inked with HarperCollins, Silent Queen's Rise, a guide to strategic exits releasing fall 2025, ghostwriter already working on manuscript, advance was $75,000. Reputation, Atlanta It Girl status achieved. Featured in Jezebel article about women who leave silently. Panel speaker at Black Tech Week on building power through strategic silence. Podcast interview on The Read discussing toxic relationships and exit strategies. Local celebrity status at Atlanta networking events. People know me now, respect me, want to work with me. Dating, open but selective. Been on dates with executives, entrepreneurs, professionals who match my energy and ambition. No rush. No settling. Self-love era in full effect. Spa days, solo trips to Miami and Cancun, library stacks of personal development books, balcony sunsets with good wine and city views, choosing me first always. Mental health, healing. Therapy weekly with Dr. Williams, who specializes in betrayal trauma. Processing the grief of who I thought he was versus who he actually was. Learning to trust my instincts again. Building framework for future relationships based on transparency and respect. Not bitter better. The lesson, real power doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need validation or confrontation or dramatic exits. Real power upgrades silently while they decay publicly. Real power moves in darkness and emerges in light. Real power is walking away with dignity, resources, and a future they can never touch. To every woman reading this who's discovered betrayal, you don't owe him a confrontation. You don't owe him an explanation. You don't owe him your pain, your tears, your rage. You owe yourself a strategic exit. Document everything. Secure your finances. Build your exit plan. Move in silence. Leave with power. Let them wonder what happened. Let them regret what they lost. Let them watch you thrive from a distance they can never close. Silent revenge isn't about hurting them. It's about freeing yourself.